Good evening, Rinpoche. First, I'd like to say that we are grateful for this opportunity. Thank you for finding time and possibility for this conversation. We'd like to start with the upcoming Losar, Tibetan New Year. How do Tibetans traditionally celebrate this holiday?
Okay, good. Trashidele to everyone, the listeners. Tibetan Losar, which is approaching very soon on the February 12th. So traditionally, it is a very important sort of events all over the Tibet and for all Tibetans. So when you ask about a New Year's Eve, we don't have specific like here in the West that New Year Eve is some kind of a very big deal to get having gatherings and so and so. But day before the New Year Eve, it's very important for us, which we call the gutuk, that there is a special soup, Tibetan soup in the evening, which we call collective, the things of 9 substances and a mix up. And also in each of the dolls that we make from the flower, each will have a kind of significant things are being written or put into that very doll that made of flower. Each person will get one piece and they will open it. It doesn't necessarily guaranteeing that whatever it comes out that is significantly representing that person, but it's a kind of memory to remember till the next that day, and laughter of family members, and also same time with the rituals that we cleanse and removed all obstacles after the soup kind of ceremony is over. Then we have a ransom ceremonies which we send out and removing, and significantly that is meaning all the obstacles and obscurations and bad lucks are meant to be removed, and welcoming the new year with the prosperous. So, and the next day, which is the last day of the outgoing year, is important. And also that day is basically we cleanse our houses and remove things that we don't want to have anymore, and put new things, cleanse, whitewash, and the decoration of the houses, including the shrine room and the living, etc., for the Losar, and get ready for the tomorrow. That is very much importantly, we respect and look forward to get all family together on that very day of the Gutuk special evening, so that all family members are together, united, and enjoying and making a memorable day of the year that is being now is almost closing up. So no matter anybody who is out for business or what, they will try to plan their level best effort to get together on that very day at home. So we look very much special day as that is.
Could you say a few words about the Burn tradition? Why is this tradition very important for the preservation of Tibetan culture?
Burn religion that we are respecting, and this is important because through this very tradition, number one, this very burn, which we call Yungdrung Per, eternal burn, which is a native religion of Tibet, long before the Indian Buddhist arrived in Tibet in end of the 7th century or 8th century onwards. There's only religion that is originated from Tibet is Yungdrung Per, eternal burn. So the Tibetan culture, Tibetan religion, Tibetan tradition, it's all based and inseparable from the Burn religion. Whatever we have Tibetan culture now, rooted and based on Tibetan culture, on the base of the wisdom and knowledge, tradition of Yungdrung Burn, the eternal burn. So it's a worldwide Tibet is celebrating, and that also through this very eternal burn, main goal is to establish inner peace, happiness, removal of the suffering of individual or commune and all sentient beings in a broad level. So Trungpa Sherab, the founder of this very religion, is an enlightened teacher who have taught basically main reason to benefit sentient beings, realize sentient beings themselves more closely and more genuinely and understanding the nature of all existing phenomena and the root of the suffering and how to eliminate that suffering, root of the happiness and how to perfect and achieve that quality. So that is for, because every sentient beings equally as Tibetans, all we deserve as well as we wishes to be happy and healthy life, right? So that is the mainly through the Yung you can achieve that happiness by your own effort or practice. So the Trungpa Sherab Buddha has been taught this and founded this tradition, and up until now is more than 18,000 years of history of the eternal burn Yung has.
Burn and Buddhism exist in Tibet at the same time. You just mentioned that the main goal of the Bon tradition is spiritual awakening. Are the essential goals the same or different in Bon tradition and in the teachings of Buddhism?
You know, the ultimate goal of the Yung and Indian Buddhist, the teaching of Shakyamuni Buddha, ultimate goal is meant to be free every sentient being from the pain of suffering and liberate from the suffering. That is very much our goal, same. But the way, the technique, the path, you know, it's varies according to the environment, according to the culture, according to the circumstances. There's a different paths according to different capacity of the listeners. So one is based in Indian culture and Indian environment and tradition, which needs to be soothing as well. So therefore, the different techniques are and teachings, but it is very much going to the supermarket. In a different country, you go to different supermarkets. Everyone has a basically different products coming from different companies, but thing is very much is for the same purpose. If every company have the different products from the different company, but it's actually basically like say a tea cup, coffee cup. You have a coffee cups made from different companies, but all the goal is to use for the coffee, right? Or tea or something to put. It's likewise. Many restaurants, main goal is to feed the desire of the wish what you like to eat, and depending on your capacity of professionality, the chefs and the customers' desire, capacity of digestion, all matters. But goal is to have fulfilling the desire of foods what you like to eat. So it's very much according to the time and when and what appetite you have, capacity of digestion you have. So it is very much, but it's not because of one is better than one. So according to that, you choose. You go to Chinese restaurant, you go to continental, you go to Indian, and so on and so forth, Thai like, but doesn't mean one is better than one. It depends on the customer who like to choose which based on their interest and desire, right? It's equally very much same. So the history is different. The sum of the teaching techniques are different. There are differences, and the most important or significant differences you can see in the images, like Yidam's deities are different, the protectors are different, and then one main difference is in Yung when we say the 9 ways of burn, the highest or the topmost vehicle or the way is Dzogchen, and in Buddha Shakyamuni's teaching, Indian Buddhist, except Nyingma, in general, there's no teaching of Dzogchen in general Buddhist all. So, and this is I think the main big differences, and the prayers and all the appearance. There are many differences too. If you look at four differences, but the ultimate goal should be, as I mentioned earlier, it's very much same goal, same purpose.
As we continue our conversation, I'd like to ask more about the final goal. I understand it is connected with one's own mind. That is to say, knowledge is acquired in one's own mind. You already mentioned that this knowledge applies to all beings and phenomena. What knowledge about all beings and phenomena allows us to get rid of suffering?
I think the as per Sangye Tumbashena guide us. Number one, it is important to understand the nature of this korwa, cyclic existence, and what is the suffering and the causes of suffering. It's very important to identify. When you are identifying these causes of the suffering, then it is important to put effort to learn the method, ways to rid of that suffering, which you know that is the source of all your unhappiness. So that is where the teaching of understanding in you internally. The teaching of Trungpa Sherab, the Yung Drung is more to educate and knowledge making and knowledgeable to you, more from internal than the external. When you know these things internally, that is what you can put effort to remove the suffering away, because you know the what is suffering, and you know the sources of that very suffering. As well, you know how to put away or how to eliminate, how to remove the suffering. So when you determine it on that, after you are knowledge in this, then that is the how we put effort to remove, and grade mainly to training your mind. So, the Tumba Sherab has mentioned, often he have advised to his students, says, "Tawa ye po choba me ya zi, ningji shizong paro chinju che," basically saying that your meditation view must be the highest according to Dzogchen, but characteristic behavior must be based on unconditional compassion, and the way of the method to remove the suffering and establish the happiness is skillfully applying the 10 perfection or 10 transcendental practices, and meditation based on compassion and the view on the highest. So that is what he's saying, means compassion to suffering of all sentient beings. And then with the skillful method of 10 perfection practice or transcendental practice, be the way to remove skillfully and put effort of awakening from the ignorance and raise a wisdom which will clear the suffering of darkness, and you will have the great happiness and joy of the wisdom, clear space of emptiness or the nature of truth of all phenomena. That is how simple way that is the how emphasize to all fellow practitioner of sentient beings by Tombashera.
What is wisdom? Is spiritual wisdom acquired on the path different from worldly wisdom?
Yes, the depth of the meaning is very different in the spiritual or religious concept, and in our everyday language we use wisdom is more of awareness, more of knowledge, more of things very based on external level of knowing correctly, as that is based on the our everyday cyclic world concept. But here in the wisdom meant in a religious or depth level of spiritual is wisdom is something knowing the absolute truth of reality as it is, being very clear and cutting off the ignorance and confusions, and then having clear sense of realization, and that is what we call sherap, which it is meant to be cutting off the root of the ignorance. When you have contradictory knowledge to the ignorance, and that is called a wisdom. But our everyday life wisdom doesn't mean that, that doesn't mean that very wisdom. It's a wisdom in a sense of very outer level, surface level, knowing something as we think that is as it is. But the truth of absolute essence of knowing is a true wisdom that cut off the ignorance. And that ignorance is the root of all sufferings.
The next question comes naturally. What is the root of all suffering?
Okay, that is, as I mentioned earlier, that suffering is what is opposite of pleasure and happiness. What makes you pain, what makes you unhappy, what makes you put into stress, where that is coming from illusion. And where is that illusion is rooted. That illusion depends on how we perceive things, how we keep that perception in your thought, and how you are handling with that. Are you able and capacity to have that ability to sorting out, etc. And that, all our emotional thoughts are what it us lead into distance from the reality of the truth of all existing phenomena. That is where it is coming from, and that is we call marikpa or ignorance. That very ignorance means marikpa in Tibetan means not seeing as it is, rather seeing it opposite, wrong way. Like example, everything academically and everything very externally we say, oh, everything is impermanent. But we don't live with knowledge of that realization of impermanent. We like to possess, we like to have that. The attachment leads to mainly the 5 poisons. When we are nurturing our 5 poisons in us, that is what makes us to put into suffering.
When I see a Buddhist monk or a Burn monk, I see that he's engaged in meditation, performing various rituals, trying to find peace of mind. Is the attainment of peace of mind through meditation related to the realization of the wisdom that you just explained?
Yes, certainly it depends on what level of their meditation is. If they have reached and if they have been able to discover the truth of reality, the truth of the all phenomena, and able to maintain contemplating in that state of realization, and that very wisdom, that very thought, it's a wisdom. If they are not in that discovery, then it is not necessarily wisdom, but it can also be a little bit quiet, calm, and a deep sense of silence experience too. So it depends of individual capacity of meditation and able of concentration, and also the view of the meditation, what they are up to. Depends.
You have already mentioned Dzogchen teachings as special teaching in Burn tradition. There are gradual paths that are connected to 10 parameters, and there is a non-gradual path, Dzogchen path. What is the difference between them?
Oh, yes. Dzogchen technique and Dzogchen method it's a method to understand directly the truth or ultimate essence of the individual or all phenomena as it is, to understand. The 10 paramita, this we call Parchin Chu, according to sutra or do, which is a method and a skill. But till you are reaching into certain level of understanding, these 10 paramitas are, according to sutras, are kind of supportive and a method and support. But once you get into realization of the Dzogchen way of understanding or discovering, then you get only to contemplate and deeply observation of that contemplate being in the non-dual state, which is way different. One, the 10 paramita are just pure thoughts, but wisdom of that very realization, according to Dzogchen, what we call a non-dual or rikpa, which is very different. So the 10 paramita is basically saying it's a thoughts and dualistic thought bound, and the Dzogchen discovery of the true nature, ultimate essence of the truth, that is called a pure state of realization or pure state of thought or Rigpa, which is non-dual.
Dear Rinpoche, soon after the upcoming Losar, another holiday is approaching. It is Gyalwa Nipanya Mesherab Gyaltsen's birthday, when the 24 hours of global practice for the world peace organized by Yerubon Center will be held. Could you say a few words about this event? What is it dedicated to and how will it be held?
Good, yes. Gyalwa Nipa means kind of like in translation, second Lord. So Gyalwa Nipa Nyame Sherab Gyaltsen, it is known as for us a second Buddha or second Sangye, therefore known as Gyalwa Nipa, and Nyame Sherab Gyaltsen, source of all our three transmissions of the burn Wang Lung Ti, and also the first founder and kind of throne holder of the memory. And therefore, Nyame Sherab Gyaltsen is not as a simple, just an educated or learned master, but he is no other than the enlightened one, manifested to liberate sentient beings and guide sentient beings to the freedom path of Dharma or liberation. So Nyame Sherab Gyaltsen's birth anniversary is a highly respected and worshipped him as a true Sangye, true Buddha. Because of these holy days of the birth and the death anniversary of the highly realized masters and emanation of the enlightened ones, meant to be, according to Bön, meant to be very multiplying the merits of any virtue activities we engage in on those days. So therefore, this very Nyame Sherab Gyaltsen's birth anniversary, for example, this year on the February 16th is the 665th birth anniversary of Nyame Sherab Gyaltsen. On this very day, any virtue activity we engage, any prayer, meditation, virtue, any virtue, the noble virtue activities of the body, speech, mind are all multiplying. With this reason, we all emphasize to our fellow beings to engage ourselves as much as in Dharma activity and virtue. What is the motive and why it is connected, this 24 hours global prayer for world peace, organized by Yeru? My very first motive of having this began establishing this very system of practice of the global prayer, my very first intention or motive is to creating opportunity to all fellow sentient beings, regardless of your beliefs, to get together, to think positive, be positive, and kind of protective thought on the very special day, jointly around the world. So therefore, we say 24 hours beginning from the memory, and then same time begin with your country and your place around the world that we have been. So it's kind of a jointly that all well-wishers that who are looking forward to wish to have world peace and self-peace, inner happiness by generating the pure perception based on a good motive. And this reason, on this very special day, if we have jointly walked together, motivate of this pure and protective concept, meant to be creating a significant positive energy and causes of the happiness to all sentient beings, which multiplies millions. That is way you do one thing, but that day it multiplies to hundred thousands. So as likewise, so joined from around the world, think positive means each individual positive thought multiplying the 100,000 thoughts. So that very power of energy meant to be eliminating, healing, subduing the destructive, suffering, wild, harmful, war, etc., etc., and generating peace in each and every individual, each and every country, each and every place. That is the motive of ourselves to get connected together with positive and protective thought of happiness and world peace, because we know when our surrounding neighborhood in the world is being disturbed, you are affected too. So everyone's responsibility and need to take responsibility to establishing the world peace, naturally it will cherish your own place, your own country too, in a peace. That is all we sentient beings desires and deserves the inner peace and outer peace. That is the reason why I basically really inspired, encouraged to my fellow student and friends and giving this opportunity, and the Yeru is creating this platform to join for such novel virtue activities for the sake of the world peace. That is where that very day you pray whatever you believes on and know, but you meditate and wish positively for the world peace. That is what it is reason to choose on this very special holiday.
Could you say a few words of wishes on the eve of Losar, the Tibetan New Year, to your students in Russia, Belarus, Ukraine? Just a few words to your students.
Okay. Well, Tasidele to everyone, friends, supporters, and students from Belarus and Ukraine, Moscow, and around the world, whoever is watching this interview. So I wish you all very happy New Year Tibetan Losar. We call the Iron Ox Year, and wish everyone's happiness, prosperity, and healthy, and also wish and pray that everyone will soon healed and overcoming from the very disturbance and fear and stressful year of 2020 by COVID-19 pandemic. And I wish and pray that everyone will enjoy this very 2021 year of Tibetan Losar. And to everyone, because I always remembering you all, especially when I visited my first visit to Minsk, Belarus in 1997. I was a first Tibetan, and especially Burm Lamas. There was no Tibetan Lamas, or and of course even in a Burn, in a Minsk, that nobody have visited there. So I was kind of like a opener, opening the new door to the people there in Belarus and Minsk by teaching the Burn wisdom and knowledge, as well as in Ukraine. And gradually their lamas are coming and visiting, and teachings are being physically taught by visiting as well in, so those places. So every one of them I remember, because I pressurize them all importantly in my heart. So hope that once everything is very peace, regain our travel accessible, I would like to visit and see all of you physically, and hope to that will be very soon. Wish everyone happy and healthy, and thank you for giving this opportunity to share my experience and knowledge. Thank you.